Hello, my name is Nissa. Today I'm gonna show a Witch Doctor spec and build that I feel is the fastest for MP1 speed farming. I'm gonna show you two different builds. The first one is the one I use normally, and the second one is one I would recommend for people with less DPS and less gear to use. First part of the build is splinters. You can use whatever you feel here, you think you like better. You can use a flaming dart if you feel that is better, or you can use any of the fire bombs. I've had great success with using Pyrogeist as a tower, rather than actually using as a DPS ability. Our main damage dealer gonna be Zombie Beer and so Zombie Charger. This spec will focus on that we one-shot all mobs on our way, rather than have to kite and spend a long time on killing them with recasting the same ability. This one you can replace with Exit Cloud, but I'm gonna with Exit Rain. This is for the second build. I would recommend you use this if you feel you have problems surviving in the melee. Then we're gonna use our first key on action bar. We're gonna use Verify with Stalker. This is for keeping as much movement speed as we can for the farming. It's not for fear the mobs or for survive. It's only for movement speed. And same with a Spirit Walk Giant. You're gonna use this as with increased duration, also for longer time with movement speed, and of course also in some cases as a survival tool. And our main ability, the one I love the most, is Soul Harvest with Vengeful Spirit. We're gonna use this as our main AoE ability on big groups. It do 230% damage in AoE to all the mobs that's around you. Just gonna show, like you run into a group and you can see all this. I wanna one shot in all this area. We're gonna one shot on the trash groups. And then we have the last ability is Slam Dance. I use this personally for even more DPS on bosses and on rare packs. But I've been experimental with Fetish Army. Either it reduces cooldown or what's called Legion Darkers with more darker wielding fetish. If you feel you need a bigger meat shield. For the passives, the main thing we're gonna use is Gruesome Feast. Since we're gonna be in melee and we have a pickup radius, we're gonna have this on 5 stacks most of the time, and it's gonna be our main regen ability to get mana back. And we're gonna use Graven Justice. This is another key ability in the spec. It's gonna reduce our cooldown on all our abilities by 1 second every time we kill them up. That either gonna be on for more movement speed with the Spirit Walk and Stalker, or it's gonna reduce for reducing cooldown on Big Bad Voodoo, or if you are using what's called Fetish Army, it's also gonna reduce cooldown on that. As the last passive, I use Pierce the Veil. This is just for buff my damage. I don't feel I could one-shot enough mobs without this. This is how I would build my spec around. With the only thing I would change personally would be Big Bad Voodoo. You can change to Fetish Army, as I already mentioned, or if you feel you want some permanent meat shield rather than something you need to summon all the time, you can change to a Zombie Dogs. If you feel you need a survival, you can take a Leeching Beast. This is gonna help you heal a little more. This is what I would recommend. But else I'm gonna use this spec. The second spec I would recommend you to do, that is if you're gonna use life on hit rather than life steal, or if you feel you are under 100k DPS and you feel that you can't survive good enough with Zombie BS, you can use Exit Cloud with Exit Rain, or Lob Blob Bomb. I personally like the Exit Rain because it has bigger radius. And then you could use, rather than Soul Harvest, if you feel it's too big trouble to get in melee and to use it, since you need to be in melee, or if you don't want to run into melee too often, you could either use increased duration, or you could use Gargantium instead. Where is it? Gargantium with either some AoE, or you could use it for higher damage. And if you use the Gargantium, since you already like half pet build now, Big Bad Voodoo again, you could take instead of Big Bad Voodoo, you could take the Zombie Dogs. Just gonna show how the spec would end up with Leeching Beast, and I would probably use this one for cleave damage. I'm actually not 100% sure if that's the best. I don't like pet builds in general. Like, then would this be the build I would using? To have a zombie, then you have a big army with you. You can hide behind. This is the build I would use if you have bad gear. I've built my gear for under 75 million right now. What I focus on when I run with zombie bears is we want as high damage as possible on our lowest hit. With that I mean our lowest hit would do 580 damage on the weapon, rather than, let's say, we were using carving knives. As you see, these have 300, but have crit damage instead. Could of course buy one with socket and stuff, it would be way better. This one have no crit damage, since I want to one-shot them even when I don't crit. That's also why my crit chance is very low. Apart from the weapon, I want high damage on the offhand too. And I want as much intellect on all the gear I can stack. You can see Amulet have high intellect, Helm high intellect rather than crit chance. Same with the chest, same with shoulder, same with gloves. You can see not 3-factor gloves, since I prefer as high intellect as possible. The only thing I like intellect on is actually my Sunimassive pucks, since I have wanted to buy 4 set. Another thing you can get high intellect on, as I don't have, is your Blackthorn belt. 271 intellect, you can roll 300. This would actually be better for my build, but I do like the pickup radius for Witching Hour, so that's why I'm keep using that. I'm gonna show first the build I feel is fastest, and then I'm gonna show the other build. For this build, I also think it's very important you have a decent amount of resistance. Personally, I won't go below 500 resistance for this build. You can of course go lower if you do Exit Rain and you're gonna kite a little once in a while. But again, it's nothing I would recommend, since every time you need to kite, you reduce your own farming speed. Also, the high intellect gonna help Gruesome Feast buff you 10% each stack, 10% intellect, 5 stacks at 50% intellect, plus it gonna buff from this too, so you're gonna hit 5k intellect. As you can see, I have 550 resistance as lowest, and 600 in poison. I would like maybe a little higher overall, or a little higher armor, but this seemed to be more than fine. Also need to take a zombie bears. Again, this is the complete build I use. Now a fast show of the build to see, so you can see how fast it actually is, and see my cooldown is reduced as soon as I've spent an ability. You can see already have everything ready again, so I can sprint. And again it's all ready, and we're gonna sprint again. This was a blind end, so it's gonna slow us a little down. I would recommend, like, never stop if there is less than 4 mobs. It's really not worth it when you're running a build like this, especially not when you're already sprinting. just get everything out of your movement speed as you can. Now we have a rare pack. You can see it's more or less already dead. If it didn't shield on. This is the reason I use Poison Dart. I was throwing all my mana on a shielded mob, and if we didn't have a main attack, we was out of mana. Again, reduce the cooldown, kill with Vengeful Spirit, and sprint to the next pack. Now it's on cooldown, we're just gonna throw one beer and everything pop. Gonna show again, one beer, one cast and everything die, one cast. Just gonna show without Vengeful Spirit. You can see I just one cast and run. This is the reason I want to be able to one-shot everything. I need to know that I only need to cast one bear to kill stuff and not need to channel. I can just cast and I know I can start running again. Another tip for this build when you're farming, as you can see I'm doing now, that is when you're trying to move past a pack that's not dead, you will click on it and you run you start to use like this, like Poison Dart, and it's really annoying. You can keybind your hotkey on your keyboard to move it rather than you have to click. That way you will never click on the mob when you try to move. Just gonna kill this stuff and teleport to the next zone. If you would allow us. Just gonna hide and teleport. Just for the record to YouTube, I'm doing this live on my stream, so at the end of the I would do I will take some questions from the stream and answer it, and they will be uploaded to YouTube too. I personally actually would farm MP0 for XP, but since most also want loot, I'm showing this on MP1. As you can see, I can very easy because I have a fast weapon. Something I did mention before. You're gonna make it easier to recast the zombie dogs, the zombie bears. When you're moving, you can easier cast them and move on the same time, or what others will call study stepping. I will call it kiting, since that's the main reason you will have to move on the same time. Pack already dead. As you can see, I just cast and move. Again here. I don't believe that we can farm much faster than this. Everything is already dead there. If I look, I just can run into this. And AoE, everything died. And it's off cooldown. It's not I didn't use it. It's just because so many mobs die. You can see I have 5 stacks of Gruesome Feast and Soul Harvest. I have 430k DPS standing in what you call it, Big Bad Voodoo, where unbuffed, I don't know if you remember, I can't click this one off, can I? No. Unbuffed I had, was it 150k I think, damage only. This is because we are stacking so much intellect, so all our buffs gonna scale even higher than what you would do if you were stacking crit chance and crit damage. If you already have built a Witch Doctor and you're thinking, oh no, I can't do this, my weapon have very low damage, I have very low intellect, but you have very high crit chance and crit damage, you can use the second spec. It scales way better with crit chance and crit damage. It's gonna do like maybe